Hey, my name is Amelia. Imagine dedicating years of your life to someone, only for them to betray you with a 19-year-old student while mocking your body. Now imagine not only exposing every one of their dirty secrets, but ruining their career, their reputation, their future. And then 20 years later, getting one last chance to twist the knife. This is that story. Studio microphone. If you've ever dreamed of serving cold, hard justice to someone who wronged you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you love hearing stories where karma hits harder than anyone could imagine. Because today's story? It's about betrayal, secrets, and a revenge so perfect it lasted decades. Back in the 90s, I was just a college girl, wide-eyed and full of hope, when I met Jake. He was 23, already graduated, and starting grad school across the country. I had plans to move about 90 minutes from there with friends. It felt like destiny. We were both traveling 3,000 miles, and somehow, we'd still be close. It wasn't just him either. His sisters, his brother, they welcomed me like family. I thought I'd found my forever. We'd eat cheap tacos, hang out in his house filled with tanks and cages, and I loved it. Jake was doing a PhD in animal sciences, breeding and studying creatures, and I thought it was fascinating. His advisor's wife, Mary, practically adopted me. We'd have lunch together and she treated me like family. Back then, I thought this man was my future husband. But then cracks started showing. One night, lying in bed after we'd been intimate, he looked at me and said he was concerned about my weight. Not for my health. Not out of care. No, he said it made me less attractive to him. My blood went cold. I'd maybe gained 10 pounds in 2 years. I still wore the same size 6, maybe 8. But instead of fighting, I just sat up and asked him calmly, "So what's your solution?" He froze. And when he muttered that maybe I should lose weight, I said, "Nah, I'm not doing that. So what are you going to do about it?" And went to sleep. 3 months later, the truth came crashing down. He dumped me. His reason? Quote, "You don't know enough about science." He actually said he couldn't date me because I didn't use scientific names for animals. I demanded the real reason, and eventually he cracked. He was cheating with a 19-year-old undergrad, his own student, Meg. And then I remembered. Jake once made me lend Meg clothes at a barbecue, but Meg was at least a size 18. That meant all his little digs about my body were lies. He liked bigger women. He just wanted me gone but didn't have the guts to end it himself. That was the moment my rage crystallized into something else. Clarity. First, I emailed his roommates to thank them for being kind to me. That's when they admitted they'd known. They'd told Jake to confess or they'd do it themselves. One of them, George, sweet, smart, and honestly way cuter than Jake, offered to help me grab my stuff from the house. He invited me up for drinks, a night out, just to have fun. I said yes. But I had bigger plans. That night, George and I went drinking. We came back laughing, stumbling in. And Jake and Meg saw me. Short dress, messy hair. George practically carrying me to his room. We made sure they heard us laughing, giggling, moaning just enough. The next morning, I ate a donut in my wrinkled dress while Jake sneered, calling me a whore. I just smirked, leaned into George's kiss on my forehead and whispered, "Have fun with my leftovers." That was petty revenge. The appetizer. The real feast was still to come. I sent the photos to Fish and Wildlife. Illegal animals, overcrowded tanks, endangered species. Within weeks, officers showed up, confiscating everything. Thousands of dollars of animals gone. His reputation in shambles. George and the other roommate filed official complaints. A 26-year-old TA, sleeping with a 19-year-old student. The whispers spread like wildfire. The women in his classes? They all knew. His reputation as a creep? Cemented. I called Mary, his advisor's wife. Sent her the proof. She unleashed hell. Jake's scholarship? Revoked. His teaching job? Gone. His PhD dreams? Dead. He crawled out with only a master's after begging his dad to pay his tuition. I called the EPA. Remember, Jake had just gotten a $30,000 research grant. With one phone call, I ended it. Grant revoked. He had to repay what he'd spent. He could never, ever get federal funding again. His career in science. Over. I moved on. Got my master's. Built a career out of helping scientists communicate to everyday people. The very thing Jake mocked me for. I traveled, lectured, lived fully. Jake. He married Meg, bred animals privately, scraped by. His siblings? They stayed my friends. His sisters flat out called Meg a homewrecker to her face, even 10 years later. Jake never knew I was behind the report. To him, the universe just hated him. Which honestly worked for me. 20 years later. Fast forward 20 years. I'm standing at the front of a lecture hall, giving a talk to 250 students. Applause, questions, laughter. It was everything I'd worked for. And then, I hear it. A voice. Hey OP, long time no see. It's Jake. My stomach dropped, but my face? Stone cold. I played dumb. Pretended I didn't even remember him until I suddenly placed him. Then, I brushed him off, smiling, waving, walking away while he stood there stunned. That night, the department chair mentioned they were considering hiring him as a professor. I laughed. I couldn't help it. And then I told them the truth, how he'd been fired, lost his PhD track, slept with a 19-year-old. Their smiles vanished. The next week, Mary called me. Jake's background check had pulled up everything. His old arrest. The complaints. The firing. And just like that, he lost the job. Again. 20 years later, the universe gave me one last chance to twist the knife. And I didn't have to lie. Didn't have to exaggerate. I simply told the truth. And once again, his own sins destroyed him. That's the best revenge. Letting someone's own actions haunt them forever. So here's what I've learned. If someone criticizes your body, your worth, your intelligence, that's not a reflection of you. That's their insecurity, their cowardice. Jake tried to make me feel small. And in the end, he shrank his own life. Karma is patient, but when it comes heavy. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Don't forget to subscribe, because we've got more stories where justice gets served piping hot. Until next time, stay strong, stay smart, and remember, karma never forgets.